apparently we've got another layer to the Tom Brady rumor of why he was gone for 10 days. I mean, we've heard everything. Masked singer. We've heard, is there, Botox or plastic surgery involved? We've heard, we've run the gamut. The latest report is apparently him and Giselle, his wife, are in an quote unquote an epic fight. That according to page 6 of the New York Post, that they're in this epic fight because she's upset about him returning to play, that I've seen some stories out there and some more details on it, that she is away from them and away from the family now, and this is a real problem, which would explain why he came back and he looked a little bit worn down and not exactly like a guy who was in the Bahamas vacationing during training camp. So we've got another layer to this story about Tom Brady there, Sticks. How about it?
Well, I'm never happy about these types of stories.
No.
I'll start there. For what it's worth, anyone out there listening to us, we're not here to try to actually talk about things and do things that get ratings and are clickbait. We're just being our authentic selves, and other things will take care of themselves. If the product is a good product, people will listen. And so for me, whenever there's certain topic matters that come up, it's very difficult for me to want to engage it to a certain degree and a certain level, because I just feel like certain things are off limits, and if a family is having issues and it's, to the point of where it's possibly, bad where one of the spouses are out of the home or something isn't right, I feel dirty when if I'm put in a position where I have to have an opinion about it. But that's, this kind of speaks to the celebrity and the stardom of which Tom Brady has ascended to during the course of his career, because for some strange reason, when you look at Inquirer or you look at People magazine, you look at all of these tabloids, they have made their money off of people dying, like who died, it's coming out, or people having problems in their marriage. And so to me, I'm looking at this one like, man, if this is indeed true, for one, I hope everything works out the way it's supposed to work out for them as a family, for one. But for two, it's just kind of like, regardless of who Tom Brady is and what he represents to our game, there should be like a kill switch that still exists for, at least for certain aspects of sports. And one of them, would be, a man's family, because in the end, he's Tom Brady, the superstar and the hero to, a folktale, a sports hero to a lot of people, and one of the greatest football players, if not the greatest football player to ever play the game. And it's almost like, we forget that they're people. Like they're just, he's a normal human being, and he's going to go through things as well. And I just hope that this doesn't turn into a story where it's like, ultimately, you'll find out about society is it's so good to build somebody up, but they're also being built up to be broken down, to be torn down. And then it's like, then you can build them back up again. And that's kind of like the cycle of people. And I just hope that this isn't one of those scenarios where it's a tear-down situation going on with Tom Brady.
I couldn't care less about his marital status. I really don't. Like when the story comes out and he's got issues in his marriage. Well, who hasn't had issues in their marriage before?
That's kind of in the definition of marriage.
Yeah, like it's part of the. Look, if you spend, and for those of you that aren't married, ever spent a significant amount of time with somebody on vacation, and eventually you guys just start butting heads towards the end because you're just sick of seeing each other. You're sick. That happens. It's a natural part of the progression that is marriage or relationships or whatever. And so he's in a situation where, if this is true, his wife's unhappy because he decided he wanted to come back and play. And so they're trying to work on some of this stuff. And there's a lot of drama. But I don't think from a lot of people looking at this like, oh man, well, this is why he should have stayed retired, and this is why this could be a problem, and why you might be down on the Bucs. I'm not down on the Bucs for this. I would be down on the Bucs just because the age of the roster. They're the oldest team in the NFL, and they've already been dealing with multiple injuries at the offensive line position, and it feels like it's heading in the direction of one of those snake-bitten seasons like we've talked about, like Baltimore dealt with last year where they had cluster injuries at the running back spot and all the other things they were dealing with. Tampa feels like they're going in that direction. Tom Brady's the least of my worries. I actually think when you have stuff going on at home, sometimes the best place to be as a distraction is work. And he even said it after the preseason game. He's like, I've done this for a long time. Like, I know kind of how to play football, guys. Like it's not like I'm a rookie coming into the league and now I'm dealing with all this stuff. Like I've been here for quite some time and played football at the professional level for a long time. I know how to get ready. If anything, I'm not worried about Brady. I think he's going to be all right. And whatever he's got going on, it's not my business. I don't really care. But the idea that, this is going to be causing a problem. No, what's going to cause a problem, and I know you've been a little bit down on them and a little bit sort of suspect about their chances this year, is I look at the injuries to Jensen, to the offensive line, and I go, well, I mean, he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. And all of a sudden, Leonard Fournette was like, 400 pounds or the way it made it seem, coming into camp. And now you've got a brand new coach, and the Bruce Arians stuff was kind of odd. It feels like we are heading in the direction where this is going to be a lot more difficult than people make it seem to be. But I don't think it's got anything to do with Tom Brady's marriage issues at all. I'm just not into it.
I would much rather look at it from that perspective in terms of, will we look at this? Will we look at what we saw with Bruce Arians, him stepping down? Will we look at a head coach allowing a player like take any of the whole personal marriage, all that's, just look at it at face value. Are you looking at the fact that a coach allowed a guy to leave for that long during training camp? When you look at the injuries, when you look back on this, will the product of this season actually resonate as you saw the dysfunction mounting up, or you saw the disconnect, or whatever this is, that it could be, you say snake bitten. I mean, it could be that something took place in terms of a shift to how the organization may be running and handling things that could lead to success. I don't know. But when you look at that list of things that are taking place right now, you would say the sum of it comes to the word confusion, right? Like this seems to be a confused state that Tampa Bay is in right now. And so I just, I wonder, can they have success? And again, that's not taking a shot at where Tom Brady is, if this is indeed true, that the personal side of it, that's not, I mean, it plays a part because you have to look at the variables in terms of what their success is going to come from, and Tom Brady is a major variable of that. So if this doesn't work the way that, people are looking for it to work, then you'll probably look back on this moment in time and be like, man, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and maybe some people were willing to look at it at face value and say this could be an issue, or maybe, people will look at it and reference it as, maybe this was the moment in time that you should have started thinking that they might not have the type of season that you thought that they were going to have. So I don't know, but we'll see, because if they win, then, all things are forgiven. Nobody cares, and then you move on from it. But it's a very interesting time to pay attention to the functionality of what's going on in Tampa Bay.
And let me tell you something. If Tom Brady goes out and plays at an MVP level like he did last year, amidst all these potential rumors about a marriage that could be falling apart, that's going to ruin the excuse that a lot of guys use. Like, hey, man, why were you at the bar last night so late? Oh, man, just, stuff's rough at home. Oh, yeah? Tom was getting up every morning playing at an MVP level. Get your candy ass out of bed and go get something done. Don't use your marriage and your relationship falling apart as an excuse. So, listen, I think it could really serve as an inspiring moment for a lot of people out there that are struggling in a relationship.
Funny. Yeah, I hear you.